From Secoma Lanes, Federal Way, Washington, here for the title matches of the season opening event of the 21-22 Pacific Northwest Conference. Matchup we might see a lot of this year in scratch. It's Bud Sicard taking on Matt Karn. They are in the third frame there, while over to the right, Brian Zutenhorst taking on Jade Walters for the handicap crown. Kendall Balea has already won the girls scratch crown. Piper Chalmers, who Kendall defeated, will be playing Bud for the U17 subdivision win immediately upon the conclusion of the scratch title match. Brian's got to win this match by 39 to tie and 40 to win, so he's got his hands full here, but has looked impressive so far today. He started off really well and maintained throughout the day, and that's 2 straight spares to open up the title match for the never not entertaining Zutenhorst. Bud trails by 9 if he converts this 4-pin, which he does with no problem. Bud the top seed after 5, Bud the top seed after 8. Mac was lurking behind to beat Ashton Yamasaki in the semifinal after Ashton beat Piper Chalmers to open up the scratch final. So Piper made the U17, the scratch, and the girls title match today. Good start for her, and a great start for Walters as she carries that Brooklyn hit for spare strike to open things up. Deep breath right on camera and over to her next shot. Well, Bud just slices that rack apart, but it's no love, leaving the 7. Kind of weird carry at Secoma, but always been that way. Sometimes you feel like you just can't possibly miss everything. Carries, messengers, 4-pins, it all works, and other times you can feel like you're just throwing it great and nothing's happening. It's angles and shapes. Important everywhere, but it seems like you really got to dial yourself in here, which kept the scores low on an otherwise playable Route 66 pattern to open things up. But no problem. 7-pin. After a sloppy open first, nothing but 9 spare sets. Walters, your tournament leader in handicap at plus 232, had a great semifinal round to get up there, and she opens up with 3 consecutive marks. Karn, a 2-time champ, both of those coming in previous scratch events, as he'll have a 2nd consecutive 310 to shoot at. He made the last one. Brian with that sort of shovel pass delivery, and then eventually figures it out at the end. He is just an entertaining kid. He will tell it as it is, whether it's pro Brian or anti Brian. This time Matt catches just too much of the 3. Buttriff, how'd you bowl today?
So-so.
So-so? He made the cut. That's never... So-so is not making the cut. Any cut made is good is what I'm trying to say. Danny did a weird thing today. He wore a shirt with Danny Chalmers on it. That never happens. As Brian misses that spare to fall a little bit further behind, and Karn a little better shot, but still facing up early. Leaves a 9. Seems nonplussed. Big thanks to Mike and the whole team here at Secoma for having us. The closest center to my house on tour. I had a 3-hour flight and a 6-hour drive to last weekend's events. I'll take a 9-minute drive to this weekend's event. Thank you very much. Pretty shot from Brian there. He gets his first strike of the title match. Trails still by quite a bit as he's got the big handicap difference. Jade with a high game today of 181 scratch. That average is going up overnight. Averages go all over the place early on in the season until they kind of sort of level out from there. Well, Brian opened up House of Fire 223, 200 scratch in games 1 and 2. Half his plus minus total right there in the first 2 games. See Bud almost to the left of the ball return, going over the 6th arrow, and gets the ball to back up. That's typical of Route 66. The moves really aren't to the right. The pattern shape doesn't allow it. So bowlers start pretty far to the left which makes going right even worse, so you've got to chase it left-er. So higher rev rate players end up going very deep on this pattern. Bud playing left of Mac doesn't really have much more left to go as far as on the lane. What up, girl scratch champ? In the booth with me, this one, two-time defending all-conference bowler of the year, Kendall Vallejo, beat Piper for girls. But off camera, he's so far left. Skid the camera over and he finds the 1-3 pocket for a double and extends his lead to 13. Mac shot 248 last game and has yet to strike here in the 6th frame of the title match. There we go. I knew I could talk him into one. Nice spare from Jade as well. Jade just 14 years old from Longview, that hotbed O bowling. She heard that's where the Invitational is, and she, I think a smile crossed her face. It's hard to tell these days, but I'm pretty sure it was. Ryan's got a strike working, so it's a pretty important shot here in the 5th. Doesn't get the carry. Bud was over left of the 6th arrow. Let's see where Mac's ball's tracking, about between 5th and 6th. Doesn't climb the hill, and he's frustrated. Yeah. He's only got a few frames to figure that out. Back here tomorrow for the second half of the doubleheader. Down to Portland in October and Riverside for the Jim Kent Classic in November. We are so thrilled to be part of that. Brian makes his spare in the 5th. Oh, a little off balance there. Begs for the Brooklyn. Lucky to only get the 9 count out of that. He'll take it. So let's see. So Bud standing left of the center of the ball return. So there's 40 boards on a lane. There's 10 more to the gutter. And he's about to. So he's standing around 60, left of 6th arrow. Couldn't throw it in the 1-3 any better than that. That's nice. It's a tool that you must have as a high-level bowler. But it's funny because sort of the in thing, for lack of a better word, is to make right moves. Urethane being so popular. Urethane, for once, not in play very much today. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Jade bowling a nice game, just that one open in the 4th so far, but that's her first errant. Really errant shot of the match, and it's on a spare too. That kind of a double whammy. Some bowlers, when they're in front of the ball return on the right lane, do the same thing on the left lane to keep their footwork the same, but not doing that. Using the full approach on the left-hand lane. You can tell the ball speed was faster on that. That's why it kind of wiggled at the spot. He looks confused, but that was clearly a ball speed thing to me. It only takes about, half 1 mile an hour between dead flush and a 2-pin. Pretty job though making the spare after that lower count. Jade's still in really good shape, trying to win her first tournament of any kind. Said she's done well in tournaments, but doesn't have any sort of tournament win to her. This card covers up the spare and leads by 22 as a result. Here's Walter's spare working in the 7th. Uh-oh. A much tougher one to look at now. 3, 6, 7. Big shot for Corner. He wants to at least hit the pocket. Carry would be great, but he wants to know where he'll have to play in the 10th. And instead does neither, as doesn't carry and doesn't hit the pocket. So if he still has a chance in the 10th, he'll have to make an educated guess as to what to do next. And that's an if he has a chance. Waller's chops that spare attempt. She's got 106 through 7. This is going to get close in handicap. No problem with the spare, but the problem is the scoreboard is start facing 206. Well, for that's, yeah, cartoons everywhere. It's Mac's screen on the left. And Bud's over there on the right. Brian with just that one open. Here he comes, the 7th. Brian's biggest JBT win was, of course, that invitational 2 years ago now, where he ran the table, finished 9-0, one of the very rare times in that triple elimination invitational format that someone's run the table. Vital strike for Mac. He gets it in the 9th, still has 203 potential. And he's got to be thinking, what do I do in that right lane? And please give me a chance for it to matter. If Bud can hold count, it won't matter. Holding count will be dictated a lot by the result of this shot right here in the 9th frame. Wow! I like the speed. That ball looked like it was facing up just fine, and instead it's like a cantaloupe in the 1-3. That was so surprising that Bud couldn't even be angry. It was just like, okay. The exact same thing happens to Brian. Their two balls are thrown a little differently from each other, but the result exactly the same. Now this is obviously totally makeable for Bud. He still has the count advantage if he can find a way to make it. Just move left like a normal shot, but that ball grabs more of the friction spot. Only one out. And suddenly, it is a 10-pin game. If they both strike out from here, now it's a tie. Brian also only able to get that one. Again, he's got to win by 40, and he leads by only 15. So Walter's in really good shape here. Brian threw a big game last time, but he is in trouble now. Bud's just got to put that out of his mind. Come up with 3 great shots, hopefully in this case here in the 10th. Doesn't do it. Boy, oh boy, he had to have thought that he had that figured out. Is that triple in frames 5 through 7? And instead, 2 below expectation results. Here now, there's all kinds of ways to chop this. So Mac might be going from please give me a chance to double to might only need a mark. No, and Bud does find one of the ways to chop it. He finishes the game open for 182, which I've double checked Bud's count. There's a big cartoon on the screen complimenting him on his 175. I believe Mac needs spare strike to win. Walter's made that spare, by the way. And Mac's going to take a re-rack, and that is the case. Boy, things getting dicey here on both sides. Jade comes up with a terrific spare in the 8th, and now is a difficult one in the 9th to give Brian a glimmer of hope. Bud does finish at 182. Mac is on a strike, so any spare strike combination, he wins by a pin. If he strikes here, he wins the tournament. If they tie, our roll and scratch is a one-shot roll-off. Here we go. And he does make the move. And he said he'd have to figure out what to do in the right-hand lane. He comes up with the goods, throws it perfectly in the 10th, gets the double, and needs to stay behind the line for the win. Wow. Tell you what. Only his 3rd strike of the match. He came up with the goods when he had to. Sir. Boy, I tell you what, we're going to have a irritated U17 match between Bud, who's got to be disappointed to let that one get away, and Piper, who is struggled through her 2 finals appearances so far today. Fortunately, everybody will have masks on, so we can't see them frowning. But you don't need a mask on to figure out the rest of the body language. Fantastic double from Mac there to catch that win. 200 to 182 is that final over there. My goodness. 3 wins for Mac now. We'll catch the end of handicap over here. Walters has 130 through 9. Brian's spared in the 9th, struck in the 10th. He's got to win by 40 to win, so give Jade 170 on the, before she throws a ball here. Brian can still strike out all 3 in the 10th for 180, which would force Jade to mark. So out of nowhere, Zudenhorst still has a chance in this match. Remember Brian's mom at TPC when Brian was feeling down. His mom said, compete. He responded to that. Let's see if he can finish this game. Oh, just not quite. Jade's just going to need to stay behind the foul line. He knows it. Bud and Piper, I'm sure you can't be any more thrilled, either one of you, to throw another game, but you can begin 2 balls of practice each on 1 and 2 for your D17. Oh, did you take one behind them? Yep, that'll be fine then. Yep. Zudenhorst finishes at a respectable 170 scratch. Jade is at 169. She needs 2 pins on 2 balls, and that is a good scenario to be in. Jade, right before the match, said, if I get a plaque either way, I'm happy. Well, she's going to get the biggest plaque of them all here in about 8 seconds. That's behind the line, and that is a winner. Yeah, do it with the strike. Jade Walters, you now have won a tournament of any type, and you are a JBT champion. Atta girl. Somehow I convinced Bud and Piper to take some practice over there in the all-smiley U17 match. I hate that scenario when that works out that way. Oh, get the double in the 10th. Why not? Great semifinals, finishes up with a flourish with 3 in a row in the 10th. Brand new title winner, Jade Walters. Nice job out of both of them. We'll do it all over again tomorrow morning back here at Secoma.